What is an entrepreneur, and why does he earn profits while workers only get fixed wages? Hi guys, Praxgirl here. In our last lesson, we talked about the concept of catalactic competition. We found that true freedom can only exist in a market society where catalactic competition has replaced the violence of biological competition. We also found that inequality is the driving force behind competition, and therefore equality does not necessarily translate into more prosperity. Lastly, we studied the dichotomy between two methods of organizing society, and we found why the concept of government is incompatible with capitalism. In this lesson, we will learn what an entrepreneur is and what mechanisms he uses to make the best decisions in order to maximize his use of resources and better his own situation and everyone else's within the market society. In our early lessons on the fundamentals of action, we learned that all actions, regardless of their specifics, are the conscious aiming of individuals seeking to satisfy some desire. When an acting individual gains from an action and when he achieves his end, it is called profit. When he fails to achieve his end, it is called a loss. Profit and loss are always personal and subjective. Whether or not actions aim at material goods or non-exchangeable goods, profit and loss are a determination of uneasiness to the actor. Profit and loss are, in this original sense, psychic phenomena which are not open to measurement. There is no mode of expression to convey to other people the precise amount of profit derived from any given action. All that we can say is that profit in action is the difference between the value of the satisfaction attained and the lower value of the satisfaction forgone. We can then say that logically all human actions aim at profit. All individuals want to attain what they don't have before they act. Even when people say that someone is harming themselves, that person aims to profit. For example, let's consider someone who uses drugs. Are they still aiming to profit? Yes, because when people engage in dangerous drug habits, their goal is to achieve the effects of the drug. None of this depends on the drug user's physical constitution or anything else that we can measure using the methods of the natural sciences. It is up to the drug user once his action is completed to determine whether he has achieved his satisfaction. Here's another example. When a man gives a street beggar a dime, he's not worse off by having less money in his pocket, but rather he values giving the dime to the beggar more than keeping it for himself. His uneasiness is caused by the awareness of the fact that other people are in need. Here we see that even an action directly aiming at the improvement of other people's conditions produces profit for the acting individual. In this sense, we can also say that all actions are selfish, but praxeology makes no value judgment as to whether any action is fair or not fair. Praxeology merely aims at understanding the consequences of certain modes of acting. Logically, the man in our example must be better off from giving the street beggar a dime, otherwise he would not have done so. Profit and loss are the guiding mechanisms in our lives. We aim to reduce our losses and maximize our profits at each acting moment. When most people talk about profit and loss, they don't refer to psychic profit and loss. They mean material profit and loss. That is, profit and loss in terms of money. In the market, profit means receiving more money than money expended. Loss means spending more money than money received. Profit and loss, in this sense, are the expression of the composite effect of the personal value judgments of all market participants with regards to an individual's contributions to society. To put it simply, the more money an individual makes on the free market, the better he has satisfied consumer needs. To understand how the opportunity to make profits in the market arises, we need to once again consider the nature of uncertainty inherent in action. Individuals act to achieve their goals, but they don't always realize those goals. In the market, failed actions translate into material losses that can be measured. Whenever there is a waste of resources in the economy, there is an opportunity for an individual to correct that error and thus contribute their effort into bringing prices down. In other words, investing in fixing a production process will help better satisfy the needs of the consumers. The greater the gap in prices consumers are willing to pay for a certain product and the price of factors that went into creating that product, the greater the profit will be for the producer. In later lessons, we will delve deeper into understanding the determination of prices of the factors of production. But for now, we should understand that profits and losses are an indication from market participants as to their level of satisfaction of the actions of an entrepreneur. Money profits and losses do not tell us the state of satisfaction of the individual in a given moment, but they reflect everyone else's opinions about how he has served them. The consumer's opinions are not expressed in a ballot box or an opinion poll, but through concrete action. Consumers choose to exchange money for the goods and services a producer offers because they value the goods and services more than their money. Now that we know how profit and loss work in the market, we can assign a term to the mode of action of any individual who risks their capital in order to make a profit. Entrepreneurship. The entrepreneur is always a speculator who deals in the realm of an uncertain future. We've already talked about the uncertainty inherent in all human action, so we could say that all human action is entrepreneurial in nature. But in our study of catalactics, the entrepreneurial function consists in determining the factors of production, capital goods, into special purposes. In a market setting, the entrepreneur is a capitalist because he either owns capital himself, or he advances saved money to owners of factors, or factor services, in the hopes that the final consumer product will sell for more than the entrepreneur's present cost in terms of his money and his time. Simply put, the entrepreneur's goal is to profit, and this can only come if he serves the consumers in the most efficient way. Let's look at an example of an entrepreneur at work. Steve Jobs led Apple in many successful endeavors by applying his unique understanding of consumer needs. He acted as a capitalist because he had control of Apple's capital, given to him by the board of the directors and the stockholders. Steve Jobs acted as an entrepreneur every time he advanced money to new employees through wages or contracted out production to other companies. One of the discrepancies Apple noticed was in the price consumers in America were willing to pay for an iPad, and the wages Chinese workers were willing to accept to make the iPad. Steve Jobs advanced money to Chinese workers to create a new product. He anticipated that American consumers would not only pay for the price of the production, but far above that price to indicate that the iPad is a product they want and should further be developed. The success of the iPad through profits indicated to other companies that tablet computers were a good venture. Thus, other companies shifted their employment of capital goods in an attempt to raise their own profits and at the same time better serve consumers. The outcome of this catalactic competition is always the fall in prices and therefore a fall in profits for companies like Apple, who are early in seeing discrepancies in the market. But this fall in profits further fuels entrepreneurs to look for new discrepancies between prices and consumer needs. The success of an entrepreneur is always the result of his ability to see what others don't. What elements make a good entrepreneur? We can speak about the entrepreneur's function in the market, but there is no way to teach the art of successful entrepreneurship. The knowledge of investing in production processes that are undercapitalized and recognizing when resources are being wasted and could be put to better use is not some sort of math equation. Profits come as the result of human action. Neither does probability nor statistics play a role in the success of an entrepreneur. If someone tells an entrepreneur that 60% of restaurants fail in their first year, that doesn't stop him from starting his restaurant. He is not trying to emulate existing businesses, but start a new and better venture. If such a thing as entrepreneurship could be taught, then there would be no discrepancies in the cost of production and no opportunity for profit. Capitalists would have already adjusted their production processes to the needs of the consumers today and until the rest of time. What this would really translate into is that every capitalist would have a perfect vision into the future, which is a clear absurdity. The thought that, if we simply had more educated individuals in society, it would produce more entrepreneurship and therefore more progress is fallacious. Entrepreneurship is more akin to an acquired art and is learned through risk-taking. What is needed for progress is capital. Profits are the wages of the entrepreneur, which he gets in exchange for his labor. The difference between a worker and an entrepreneur is the certainty in their wages. While workers are contracted to a wage, the entrepreneur is subjected to the uncertainty of the market. Workers accept lower wages for certainty. The entrepreneur gives away certainty in exchange for higher but uncertain wages, the profits. Profits provide a key social function in a capitalist society because they serve as an index of the maladjustments within the society that are being met and fixed. The profit-making entrepreneurs are the keen individuals who take the risk to invest their capital into fixing these problems. When entrepreneurs make large profits, they raise awareness to everyone in society about the present waste of resources and set the forces in motion for the eventual elimination of them. Likewise, entrepreneurial losses in a capitalist society clearly show that an individual has contributed to the waste of resources. It is curious in our day and age, entrepreneurial profit gets such a high level of rhetorical attack. Our value-free praxeological analysis helps elucidate the fact that profits cannot be brought up seriously unless its counterpart, loss, is talked about as well. Capitalism is not a profit system, but a profit and loss system. Once we understand that those two concepts cannot be separated, we can become keenly aware of the true risks capitalist entrepreneurs engage in. The market tends to reward resource-maximizing conduct and punishes resource-wasting conduct proportionately. The entrepreneurs who best serve the consumers end up playing a larger and larger role in the production process, while the entrepreneurs who fail to satisfy consumers find their resources dwindling and eventually have to return to the job of the wage earner. I'll see you guys in the next lesson.